1919, A Treat. Once upon a time there lived an old woman named Kondratyevna. In her youth she had been observant and garrulous, and though her eyes grew weak as she got old, she became even more hawk-eyed. Though she had just one tooth sticking out of her mouth, the chattiest chatterbox couldn't outmumble her. She had a daughter, Marya, who went out to the village outskirts for a stroll and became in the family way. When Marya began to swell, Kondratyevna asked her, "Who was it that ruined you, daughter? A cruel person or a demon of some sort?" Marya didn't reply and simply started to cry. Then it came time for Marya to give birth. She had a girl and died in labor. They called the girl Marfushka, and she lived with Kondratyevna. When Marfushka turned 3, she wanted to go to the woods to pick mushrooms and berries, and her grandmother said to her, "You can go wherever you please, just don't go to the dam that the mill stands on. There's a water creature there, he will drag you under water." Marfushka asked what this water creature looked like, and grandmother said, "He is small and dark, looks like the devil, and has red whiskers, a long beard, and hair so wild you can't brush it with a comb." When Marfushka turned 5, she forgot grandmother's warning and went to the dam. There was a mill on the dam, and in it lived a miller. He was old and gray, with long unkempt hair, a tangled beard, and untrimmed nails. In the summer and winter he wore a sheepskin half-coat with a waist belt and leaned on a long shepherd's staff as he walked. He didn't know anyone in the village and only went to church for the big holidays. Now Marfushka went to the dam, and the miller noticed her and called her over. "What's your name, little girl?" he asked. "And who are your parents?" She replied, "My name is Marfushka. I'm old Kondratyevna's granddaughter. My mother, Marya, has gone to God, and I never knew my father." The miller then said, "Since you're here, little daughter, come in. I'll give you a treat." Marfushka approached the house and saw a black rooster moseying around the yard. She'd never seen a rooster like that before, and asked, "Gramps, why do you need a black rooster?" And he said to her, "When the water devil comes for me, I'll give him the black rooster, and he'll leave me alone." Marfushka went into the house and saw a black cat warming up by the oven. She asked, "Gramps, why do you have a black cat?" "Folks say that black cats serve Satan." The miller got angry, thumped his staff against the floor, and said, "He doesn't serve anyone. The water devil will come to me, I'll give him the black cat, and he'll leave me in peace." The miller took out various treats for Marfushka, whom he called his little daughter. Marfushka liked being at his house and began to visit him. One time the miller said, "I'm old and I live alone. When it's time to die, no one will bring me water. You're my only friend and helper. I ask only one thing of you. Swear to me in the name of Christ you'll do what I ask." Marfushka swore to him, and the miller said to her, "If I die in the field, don't carry me into the isba, and if I die in the isba, let them carry me out, not feet first, but head first, and stop by the river to cut the veins behind my knees." Another time he said, "I'm old and I live alone. If I take ill, what will I do?" Marfushka said to him, "If you take ill, Gramps, send me a message." The miller pondered it a while, and made a little wooden wheel on a stick. He gave it to Marfushka and said, "Hide this little wheel somewhere safe. Don't show it to Kondratyevna. If you see it start to spin on its own, that means I've taken ill, and if water starts pouring through it, that means I'm already dying." That's what Marfushka did. She brought the little wheel home, hid it in the drying shed, and went to check every day to see whether it was spinning or if water spilled from it. Marfushka turned 6, and the time came to harvest the wheat. In the morning, Kondratyevna went into the field and took Marfushka along to help her. All day long, Marfushka walked around the field helping her grandmother. By evening, she was tired and returned home and was getting ready to go to sleep when she remembered the little wheel. She ran to the drying shed and saw the little wheel spinning on its stick as if it were being spun by some force. Marfushka ran to the dam and went inside the mill, and the miller said to her, "Thank you for coming, my little daughter. I waited a long time for you and thought I wouldn't see you again. It's not time for me to die yet, it's not time. Thank you, and here's a sweet treat for you. Run on home, little daughter, and don't forget about the little wheel." Marfushka came out on the stoop and saw that the black rooster wasn't in the yard, so she asked, "Gramps, where is your black rooster?" And the miller said to her, "The cat tore it to pieces." Marfushka came home and her grandmother asked, "Granddaughter, where did you go at this time of night?" And Marfushka replied to her, "I was playing hide and seek with the other children." Grandmother didn't believe her but said nothing. A long or maybe a short time passed, and one day Marfushka returned from the field, ran to the drying shed, and found the little wheel was spinning. She didn't say anything to her grandmother and ran to the mill. She saw that the miller had grown very thin and his eyes had sunken in. He said to Marfushka, "Oh, little daughter, I felt very ill today and thought you wouldn't make it in time. But it's not time for me to die yet. It's not time." He gave her another treat and again charged her to keep an eye on the little wheel. Marfushka asked him. Gramps, where is your black cat? And the miller said to her. He ran away to the forest. Marfushka came home, and her grandmother asked her, Granddaughter, where did you run off to at this time of night? I was playing Dalkey with the other children. Grandmother didn't say anything, but noticed her granddaughter went to the drying shed every evening. Marfushka lay down to sleep, and Kondratyevna went to the drying shed and found the little wheel. She took it and brought it to a woodworker, and the woodworker made an identical one. You couldn't tell them apart. Kondratyevna placed this little wheel in the drying shed and threw the enchanted one outside the village gates.